Welcome to Yeukai Business Show, UK's premier business show where we feature business thought leaders, high achievers, and industry experts. Today's episode is brought to you by World Outsourcing Solutions Limited, a company that specializes in helping executive business owners with virtual assistant services and business growth systems. Here's your host, Yeukai Ketchadori.
Hey guys, thanks again for joining us here today. If you are at that stage where you are prioritizing your health and you want to know how to do it better, you are in the right place, because my guest here today, Frank Ring, has an outstanding story. In fact, knows how to do this well. So you may want to tune in, or you may want to send this recording to somebody else who may benefit from us. But before we bring in Frank here, let me ask you one quick question. If somebody was to ask you this question, what is more important, your health or your business? What is your answer? Yes, that's right. What is your answer? I know my answer is my health, because without your health, without doing it right, you probably don't have the business, so you want to prioritize your health. So whatever you do, you always need to build in, a time to look after your own health, your peace of mind, your emotions, so that you can show up stronger. You can show up, 100% ready to do what it takes. And what we're going to be talking about is certainly going to help you in showing up well. Frank, thank you so much for joining us here on the show today.
Yuki, thank you for having me. I look forward to the conversation.
You know, you and I were catching up earlier on before we came to record this, and you've been doing helping people now for several years, and also you've been doing this yourself and have had tremendous results from keeping fit, particularly about the importance of walking. Would you very briefly share your own story as to how you got into walking?
Sure. Well, it's funny. Your introduction really hit the nail on the head, in that what would you rather have, a successful business or your health? I got into this because my health was failing. I was a runner and someone who stayed active. I wasn't a fitness fanatic, although I did run a lot. And I herniated a disc in my back. That would be about 6 years ago. But I went to physical therapy, and I didn't know. They never told me it was a herniated disc. They never sent me for an MRI or anything. They just kept treating me, and it got worse and worse. And it got to the point where I was out of work for 4 months because the pain was just awful. And that saying, when you don't have your health, you don't have anything, is so true. I was in my, at that time, early 50s. Then I was like, is this the rest of my life going to be like this, where it was difficult to sit? I could stand, but that became, there's only so long that you could stand. And that's why I had to leave work, because I spent like 3 months at work just standing. I couldn't sit down to teach. I had to keep on my feet for 8 hours a day. It was just awful. So at the same time this was happening, my back was out of work. My mom was in the final stages of pancreatic cancer. So I had the stress of that. And that relationship of back pain and stress is very interesting. So I got into walking after 3 epidurals had finally stopped the pain. So it was a choice of my surgeon, my orthopedic doctor said, hey, this is bad. You've got to do nothing. Stop everything, stay out of work, and hopefully I won't have to operate on you. We'll do the epidurals and see what happens. So after the third one, I finally was pain-free. In August of that year, my mom had passed away. This is 2016. And got back to work, and life was, I wasn't running. I wasn't doing any fitness stuff. So I said, I better start doing something, because what I'm going to just put on weight and not be healthy. So I started walking with the idea of, let me walk. I'll get stronger. I'll stay pain-free. And then I'll start running again to get in shape, and I'll start doing weightlifting. And a crazy thing happened, but I fell in love with the whole idea of walking. I felt great. Physically, I was getting stronger. The best part was, it was the mental part of it. I'd get out and I'd listen to podcasts. I'd listen to personal development stuff. I'd listen to music, wouldn't listen to anything, and I just listened to my own head. And it helped me with the grief of losing my mom, getting into the late fall and then early winter. So this was a few months I was walking, and I thought, boy, this is really nice. I would love to be able to do something with this. At that same time, I was researching, online opportunities to make more money. I love teaching, but financially, it's a balancing act of, you have a lot of time off, but the money is not there. So I'm like, what can I do? And online marketers, would listen to different podcasts, and everything, they all say the same: do what you love, do what you love, do what you love. And I couldn't think of anything. I was thinking maybe Photoshop. I teach it. I could teach some, maybe write a book on that or whatever. And one day I was walking. I'm like, man, I love this. I would love to teach or create something involved in walking. That would be my business. Had no idea how it would be a business. I just thought, all right, let's explore this. So I did research online, books about walking, and in my own experience, because I had been walking now for a while. And I put together a set of 28 PowerPoint presentations that I was going to record and then try to sell online. So I had it all together. Okay, here's my business. And I recorded the first PowerPoint presentation. And I realized that, oh my God, who would want to sit and listen to a PowerPoint presentation about walking? They would rather be walking. Right? You'd rather be walking than actually sitting at a desk, which sitting at a desk is what got me in baggage trouble in the first place, So I had to revamp my whole idea of this, but I had all this information in an outline form, like PowerPoint. And as I was listening to more marketers, they're saying, well, you have to write a book to be credible, to have some credibility. So I'm like, write a book. I mean, I write tutorials for my students. I've never written anything. But I'm like, wait a minute. I have all of these PowerPoint presentations. There's an outline. Let's see if I can fill in the gaps. And that's what I did. I put together my first book, Walking for Health and Fitness, based on a bigger concept, a bigger idea. But it's been so much fun putting that together and putting that into the market space. And I got addicted to walking, but also to the writing process. I put out a lot of information on my website, and I wrote 2 other books after that, all related to walking, because I believe it's so important to stay in shape. I've not run again since I started walking, because I look back at my training logs and I realized I was hurt so often when I was a runner. And between the running and the weightlifting, it was not good for my back. And I know a lot of people tell me the same thing. So since walking, I have not had an injury related to walking.
It is amazing. I'm glad we're talking about this, because our previous guest, Stavros, for those who are listening to this, you probably have listened to the audio already as of now. If you haven't, you may want to go check out Stavros, who is a health and fitness expert we talked about. And he talks about the 5 behaviors that facilitate health living. And one of the, his very first recommendation is walking. It's a simple exercise that we're talking about here. And he has been an expert for the last 29 years, helping people discover how to stay fit. Now, I bring Stavros here because it is just another confirmation of the power of walking. Now, Frank, I know we're going to go into how do you actually get started, because a lot of people may not do that. But there is usually misconception about, the effect of walking. Does it actually work? Tell us your experience and some of your customers or your clients' experience.
Yeah, it absolutely works. With the pandemic going on, there is I've seen so many more people walking in my neighborhood. So prior to the COVID, I walked a lot. And let me tell you how much I walked. When I was a runner, I started this thing at school where I plan this walk. I plan to run around the perimeter of the United States, a virtual run.
Yeah.
I write about it on my website. And then getting hurt 5 years ago, I changed it to my walking miles became, I charted that on the map. So I ran a lot and walked a lot. When I ran a lot, the injuries between the back, the knees, ankles, Achilles, I had a shin injury that lasted for months. But it was just part of it. I thought, hey, everybody goes through this. Once I started walking, those injuries disappeared. The walking form is just, you learn it as a toddler, and it's so natural. And the best part of it, besides toning your legs and your butt muscles and your back, the best part is what it does for your mindset.
Yeah.
So many people have told me, and during the COVID, to bring it back to that, I would meet people, and initially when I'd see them, they were a little hesitant. I could wave and they would look at me like I was strange, like waving to strangers. It's weird. Then they would then look forward to seeing me, and we would finally have conversation. I'm like, well, how much do you walk? Because I would talk to everybody walking. And they said, well, I do it, but to get out of the house, working from home, I can't stand it, but I need it for my head. And everyone says the same thing. So it is great for the body, absolutely, but it's so good for the mindset to just get out. And there's almost like there's a meditative movement to it. I mean, your arms and legs have that cross pattern motion, the opposite arms in front, from the opposite leg. And if you just breathe and dial into that movement, you can almost, like, I don't say a trance, but it really is relaxing. If you breathe properly. What I have in my book, what I call the 4-3 breathing pattern. So you breathe in through your nose for 4 steps. And on the 5th step, you breathe out for 3 steps. So it's an odd number. So on that odd number, the next cycle, you begin on the opposite foot. So it keeps a nice rhythm to your walking. It keeps a nice, it's almost, if you think just counting, like initially to start that, 1, 2, 3, 4 breathing in, 1, 2, 3 breathing out, that becomes rhythmic and almost meditative itself, just counting in your head the steps. And between the breathing and the moving, it's, boy, it clears my head real quick. And
it's interesting.
I just feel it's such a great movement.
It is, one of the things I discovered when I was preparing for this conversation is how many great ideas have come to you during this walking experience. And this is not the first time I've heard about this. A lot of people we've had on the show who are health experts, they talk about the same thing. Would you kindly share some of those things? What perhaps the process that happened?
Sure. For me, and that's the physical part, and feeling great is great. But now that I'm teaching and coming up with lessons for my students, which I have so many lessons I develop while walking, but now this business part of my website and books, so many ideas came to me while I was walking, because you have all of that time. It's weird. It takes time to walk. Okay. But what you can get, what I can get accomplished, and I feel anyone can, really saves you time in the long run. So when I walk out, what I usually do, I take out my phone, and I, if I have some ideas or something that let's start with this. If I have a problem I'm having, okay, I need a solution to something, I'll just write that in my notes app and start walking. And a lot of times I'll just forget about that. I won't think about it. I'll either listen to a podcast, I'll listen to music, or I'll listen to my own head. But at some point, and usually near the end of the walk, an idea starts to form around that problem. And it's so strange how often for me it's happened where all of a sudden something just comes into my head like, whoa, why didn't I ever think about it that way? And how did that just show up like out of nowhere, like this solution? So that is what has been the best part of walking for me, the ideas part. And one of the things I like to do is I'll walk to a coffee shop, a Starbucks. I'll set that like maybe 3 miles out. Get there, and I have a piece of paper from my backpack and a pen, and I just date it and then start like, okay, what's going on? I call it like a brain dump, and just by the time I finish that coffee, I filled that paper with, whatever I'm working on. If it's how can I get on to be a guest on more podcasts? What do I need to do that? When I get back home, here's the strange thing. If I sit at my desk, I'm like, all right, what was that idea I had? I can't think of it while I'm sitting down. But that's why I write everything down, because when I'm in my office, there's always so much going on. There's 100 things we could do. So the walking really zones me in on what I need to get, the most important thing I need to get done. And again, that's where all of these ideas just, come about, or I could flush out, anything I'm even contemplating really comes together, especially if I stop someplace in between to sit down with my thoughts, cup of coffee, and just write them out. So the business part of me, the business owner of me, really enjoys those sessions that I have.
Love that. I will have to share my own experience at this stage, because walking truly is a game changer for me. I never make major decision without having been on a walk, even if it is just for a short walk. This may sound so strange to you if you've never done it, but here's what I say, try it out, and then you can come back and say, well, it doesn't work. Because I've found this conversation that we are having, that some of the great business ideas I've had, for example, the launch of my podcasting, came as a direct result of a walk that I was having. It's amazing how it works. And I've had it time and time and time again. So I want to encourage you, if you are tuning in for the first time, maybe, you follow us all quite, for some time now, we bring these amazing strategies because they have worked in us, or we are seeing the results from those people that we are doing life with. So I want to encourage you, if you haven't started already, tomorrow, set it up. You don't have to start by walking several miles. You may start by walking maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes and come back. The key thing is make it a habit. As it becomes a habit, it becomes much, much easier for you. Frank, for those perhaps who have tried walking and did not see the benefit, would you perhaps know of any reason, maybe, what has stopped them from getting the maximum benefit like you do, like I do, and many other people, and how we can overcome that?
I would say it's like anything else. If you're just starting out and you're not seeing a result, just give it time and keep an open mind to the process of it.
Yeah.
What I found, someone, I forgot who it was talking about meditation, and how meditation, the time they meditated, whether it was a half hour, an hour, actually, in a sense, even though that sounds like a long period of time, it slowed time down. It gave them time to do other things. They were so much more productive when they meditated, which actually then gave them time. And I feel that's what I feel. Walking is the same way. If you just, keep an open mind to it, and not, if you're going to walk, and I see a lot of people talking on their phones, which is a good thing, nice to catch up. But if you need this for your own head, to clear your head, put the distractions away and just get into that breathing pattern, that 4-3, 4 steps in, 3 steps blowing it out. And that might be a good way for someone to start this, to start to see the benefit of it and feel the benefit of it.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, just try it out. Try it out. That's all I can say to you. And you will be amazed at the results that you perhaps could get, especially if you are a busy business owner and you've got so many things going on. You just remove yourself from a situation. You may come up with different strategies, not to mention the health that you get out of it. Frank, I just want to go back to your story for a moment, if I may. You were telling me about some of the tremendous lessons you learned from your mom. Would you mind, because I think, some of the things that your mom taught you could be so relevant to my listeners right now.
Right. Yeah. So thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. So my mom passed away in August of 2016. And I was asked by my family to do a eulogy. And I thought, well, everyone who will be at the church knows her. They've been in her life forever. So they know who she is. So I didn't want to just repeat she was a great mom, which she was, or, she loved her job, which she did. I wanted to, I actually went on a walk and I thought about this because it was thrown in my lap. Hey, Frank, can you do this? Can you do the eulogy? So I went out and I just said, oh, let me think about it. What I want to say. And I thought about what I learned from her. I call it her life lessons.
Yeah.
And she never presented them to us as, hey, here's lesson number 1, do this, do that. But it's just how she lived her life. So what I saw in her struggle with her cancer was how much faith she had. She wasn't afraid of dying. And it was because of her faith. And she would talk about that often. She was going to miss, she said, us. I miss that part. I miss my family. But she says, I'll be fine where I'm going. So that was it gave me a lot of peace. It made me feel really, I don't say good about, well, I guess it made me feel good about her death, that she knew she was going someplace else. So that was one of her lessons. Be right with your God. Also be right with yourself.
Yes, I love that.
Any issues that you have or struggling with, you got to work those out in order to just, live your best life, So that was good. Let's see.
And the other one
talked about,
okay. I will help you out on this one.
Yes.
Yeah, because we were talking about this, the importance of family,
yes. That was first and foremost. We came from a big family. So my last name is Ring, which is on my father's side, but my mom is Italian. So I grew up in an Italian household. My great-grandfather settled in Palisades Park, New Jersey, at the top of the hill. I mean, from my house, I have a nice view, my parents' house, old house, of the Manhattan skyline. So, it was in a nice area. And he owned a lot of property and he had a lot of children. He had 10 children who all settled in Palisades Park. So I grew up, my friends were my cousins when I was growing up, and there were many of us. So family was just always so important to her. Yeah. And not only she didn't just say it, she lived it. And she was a good cook, and she always said it's so important for me to cook well to feed my family. That's how she always put it. And hearing that as a child and as a young adult, the whole connection didn't come together until she had passed. I'm like, oh God, that was so important to her.
Yeah.
So
I admire that lesson tremendously, especially for business owners. What we are talking about, these lessons, we were talking about walking, which is all about taking care of your own health, and then looking at one of the things that was so important, her belief in God, her belief in family, her belief in being right with your friends and the people you do business with, the people, all those are the principles that I hope, anyone who's listening would reflect on and say, how can you put this into practice? Talk to us about your beliefs about being loving towards your friends and caring towards the people you do life with, and being honest and open.
Yeah. The friends one was a good one. She taught two of the other ones. One, to be a giving person.
Yes.
But to also be a receiving person. You have to allow other people to give to you, which was so important because that makes them feel good.
Absolutely.
So you want to give so that you can help someone, but you have to allow them to also then give to you. And some people are uncomfortable with receiving help, or not even help, just whether it's a kind word or something, but she thought that was very important, that, hey, you have to let other people do for you.
Yeah, I used to be like that, Frank, and until somebody said, hey, you're cheating me of a blessing of giving. Do you really want that? Yeah. And it was like, no, I don't want you to feel like I'm cheating you of that blessing. And it is exactly what it is. So if you are open to receiving, you're giving other an opportunity to enjoy the blessing of being a giver. So, that was also huge in in some of your mom's life lessons, really, and we're grateful for that. And one other thing, perhaps before we move on to the next thing, is give more than you receive. It was one of her main thing that she used to believe.
Yeah.
And I think for business owners, if you want to stay in business for a longer time, figure out a way to create more value for people than what you receive back. Because if you can do that even more, and we do that for more people, you will never be out of business at all. Would you talk about that for a moment, about that concept that she truly believed in?
Well, the giving part, as far as the business part of it, I mean, I think we like to do business with people that we get value from, our transaction. And when you get a little bit more than you've paid for or given, I think that it's like the bonus. It makes you feel better. But so within the business realm, giving more is such a huge concept. But she just, bringing it back to her lesson was that even just a kind word. Like she always would it was amazing watching her just talk to someone and always had that little extra kindness to her to point out something if someone was wearing something or something they said, had an effect on her. And so that was a lesson that I learned from her, just to give a little bit more. I try to do that with my walking books and with what I do online. Yeah. Just because I think it's so important. If I can help someone by that little extra, that's makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah, absolutely love that. And you guys, you can go read some of these life lessons. Go to Frank's the Instagram page. There's a very beautiful post there I discovered earlier on when we were preparing for this message, and I couldn't help it but thought, if business owners, those that I get to do life with, take on these lessons and apply into their lives, we could not only change our world, but we change ourselves and make life even better for other people. So I want you to go look for that. In fact, we'll put a link in it's one of the things you can listen to at the bottom of this recording, so you can go there and listen to it. It's Frank Walking for Health and Fitness Instagram. I think that's where it is, and you'll be able to find that post which Frank did last time. Frank, we're coming toward the end of our time here together. Let's go back to walking. Or the subjects that we were talking about. Are there any mistakes that people can make with walking?
Any mistakes? I'll give two big mistakes. Sure. One, when you walk, if you're in the street, and if there's no sidewalks, you'll be in the street, you must face traffic. Okay, you must see the cars coming at you, because drivers are distracted. Their cell phones out, they're careless, and at least you have a chance to step aside. And I can't now tell you how many times I've had to do that. I don't like to walk in places that are heavy traffic, but when you do occasionally face traffic because you want to see what's going on. And at night, wear a reflective vest and carry a flashlight, because think about it, you're driving. It drives me crazy, the number of people who walk at night. They wear dark clothing. You cannot see them until you're right on top of them as a driver. So please, if some two big tips, and I put these everywhere. They're on my website. They're in my books. Walk facing traffic, wear a reflective vest. Okay. So those are mistakes you can make walking, but there are things that you can do to improve your walking. And I have this acronym called STEPS. Okay. So for S, first S, shorter, quicker stride. So when you're walking, you don't want to overstride. Overstride is like putting the brakes on. So it should be a nice, comfortable, short stride. So that's S. The T, your toes will propel you forward. So your back toe and your back foot, you should feel like a push off there. The E in steps, engage your core and glutes. By keeping your midsection tight as you're walking, and your butt muscles, you'll get a good workout and keep those strong. The P in steps is for posture. You should stand tall. And the S, the second S, is swing your arms quickly. To walk a little bit faster, don't concentrate and focus on your legs, focus on your arms moving faster, because your legs will follow your arms because of that cross pattern movement and swing of your arms and legs. So STEPS is the acronym: shorter, quicker strides, toes propel you forward, engage your core, posture, stand tall, and swing your arms quickly.
Love that. Absolutely love that. Thanks for summarizing and giving the practical ways of doing it. And, there is a website where people can find out more. Would you share with everybody here?
Certainly. The website is walkingforhealthandfitness.com. So that's a website I started 2-3 years ago now. And if they go there, the guests of your show can download a gift from me to them. And that's at walkingforhealthandfitness.com/Yeukai gift. That's one word. So that would be YEUKAIGIFT. And the gift is interesting. It's 20 inspirational walking quotes. It's a PDF download. And the subtitle to that would be how inspirational quotes, 6 ways inspirational quotes can change your life.
Love that. Well, there you go. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. You have a free gift that you can download that will improve your life. In fact, I know that there is some meditation training there as well, somewhere on the website. There's so much you can do. Whatever it is, get started. Just do something to improve your health in walking, improve your emotion. These little things all build up in making you a successful business owner, which I know you want. That's why you are listening to this. So we want to encourage you. Don't stop at listening alone. Let's go and make it happen by actually going to implement that. Frank, this has been absolutely wonderful having you on the show. Thank you again for being generous with your knowledge.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the time of the conversation. And also, it's funny you mentioned so much of my mom's life lessons, which I never really put into a business context until you talked about it. And it really does make sense, those lessons. So I'm going to, at some point soon, actually put those in a blog post on my site. They've been on my social media accounts, but I'm going to put it actually on my website.
I think they will help. They truly help. One of the reasons they resonate with me is because I live those things. So hearing about somebody else doing those ones and have had an impact on others, this is the time we should amplify that message. For example, one of the lessons that she brings is be positive. Always be upbeat. Even though she had cancer, she was positive, and it was one of those incredible things. Imagine if we all become like that, despite what's going on around us. Maybe things are not working so well. What are we showing our kids? What are we showing those who are looking at us? Because people are constantly looking. For example, when mom was dying and people seeing how positive, what did that say to them? And imagine if we as business owners do that, what impact do we make? What will our employees think of us? What will our business associate thinks of us? We are constantly modeling the way to go. And I think the life lessons from your mom ought to be amplified, because they're truly what makes us better human beings.
Wow. Thank you so much for saying that. And thank you for opening my eyes to that. It's something I put up on social media twice a year, but I think the website, they deserve to be on the website also. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's make it happen. As we always say, live well. Whatever you do, intend to live well with others, friends, family, and yourself. Live with passion. Until next time, have a great evening or morning, whatever time it is. Thanks again for tuning in. Goodbye for now.
Thank you for listening to Yeukai Business Show. We will be back to bring you more episodes with success stories and advice straight from the experts. Want more? Check out www.yeukai.businessshow.com. Get your free trial of our virtual assistant service today. Just visit www.worldoutsourcingsolutions.com. Quote WOS18 or send us an email at support@worldoutsourcingsolutions.com.